Hey everyone. So in this video, we're going to go over kind of how to organize your project in Voiceflow and use some of the core aspects from reusability, like components and topics. And to do that, we're actually going to just build a very simple web chat project from scratch using some of these templates to give you a sense of what it looks like live. So in Voiceflow here, I'm going to go ahead and create a new assistant. We're going to call this website chatbot. We're going to go build AI assistant. We're going to pick web chat, and let's just go with English. So once you're in here, if you've never used Voiceflow before, I'd recommend just going ahead playing around. But for me, I'm pretty well versed, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete most of these. And now I'm going to start my project off. So before we want to do anything, I'd recommend go ahead and add some URLs to your knowledge base. This is going to be really easy to power your assistant. For this demo, we're going to focus on just some of the other functions. And so to start off, let's try to go to text step here. And we can maybe have this first one be a welcome block. Welcome. And we'll just start it off with saying, welcome to Voiceflow. And let's add a little wave emoji here. Great. Oops. Wave emoji. Perfect. Next thing, we're going to go ahead and just ask the user, what can I help them with? So how can we help you today? And now we want to give the user a couple options. So we're going to go into buttons, and we're going to add some buttons here. So let's do pricing, or actually let's do get a demo, and then we are going to do pricing, and maybe we'll do another one that says get help. Perfect. So we've got three options now for our website bot: get a demo, pricing, get help. Now what we want to do, these are each going to be pretty big areas, and so we want to go ahead and just create some topics for them. These are going to be the subfolders where these are going to live, and to do that, just click get topic, and we're going to make the first one get a demo. Then we are going to make the second one, what's it called? Pricing. And then we're going to make the third one, get help. So for get a demo, what we want to do now is you'll see that there's little intent blocks here. We want to create some intents. And so these are going to be triggered. If a user clicks a button, we'll send them here, but they're also triggered if a user just types in one of these phrases. So the first one can be get a demo. And a user might say something like, I want a demo, I want to buy Voiceflow. Perfect. So let's go ahead and just generate a couple phrases here that a user might say. And what's great with Voiceflow is you don't need to generate everything a user might say. You just need to give a good sample, and the AI can do the rest. So create intent here. So I've got get a demo, and then we can do the same thing with pricing. So we'll create another one called pricing. Pricing. What is the pricing? How much does this cost? And then let's just do a bunch of utterances here. So that's done. Give me a price. These are good. And then finally, we'll create get help. And when you're doing this, usually between like 5 to 15 intents is pretty good. And you want to make sure that they're not too broad. So you want to keep them each a couple words at least. I need some help. Help me, please. And you want to keep them generally specific to like what you're actually focusing on, so that way there's not too much overlap between them. Perfect. So these are all great. Create intent. Awesome. So now I'm back at home. What I can do is I can say if someone clicks the get demo, we're going to go to an intent, and we're going to go to the pricing intent. Or sorry, not the pricing intent. We're going to go to the get a demo intent. Same thing with pricing. If they click on pricing, we're going to go ahead and go to the pricing intent. And then finally, if they click get help, we want to do the same thing. Action, go to intent, and we're going to go to the get help intent. Great. So to give you a sense of how this works now, this means that if a user clicks this button, they're going to go here. And vice versa, if they just type it, they're also going to go there. So I can go ahead now and just hit run on my assistant. And you can see that this pops up and says it needs to be trained. You want to make sure that you click that. That is going to get your model to start training. So it's going to get the AI to be trained on your project. So that way it recognizes if someone types in like get help or anything else, it'll know where to actually send them. Great, it's done. So I'll show you how this works generally. So if we hit get a demo, you'll see that it actually jumps to the get a demo page. There's nothing here, so it just ends. And even if I do something like type, hey, I want a demo, please. It's going to know that you're trying to trigger get a demo, and it's going to jump there. So that's the first thing to get started. And we've now got everything kind of broken out into pages. So now there's a couple things that we want to do. And so within these pages, we actually want to start building some stuff out. So we'll start off with get a demo, and I'll just explain some of the basics around capturing information. And then we're actually going to go ahead and bring in a template that's going to help us save a bunch of time. So the first thing we want to do is with get a demo, we want to do something like, let's go, awesome. For sure, we can set up a demo. Now we want to go ahead and capture some information. So I'll say capture email block. So the first thing I want to do is ask a user what their email is. So let's go, what is your email? Is your email. And once we can get their email, so we want to use the capture step. And I've got another video on this, kind of explaining this more in depth. But with the capture step, you can do either the entire user reply, so you can capture everything the user says, or you can pick out an entity. And an entity is like a thing like an email or a name or a place, something that is its own category. And there's a bunch of pre-built ones here. So I'll click email, and that's pre-trained with a bunch of email data. So I will hit get entity, and then the next one is we're going to do this again, and we're just going to go with like capture a name. But this is a great example where we can actually start creating some reusability within our project. So let's say, for example, I know I'm going to use this text and capture a lot, and I want to make this really simple for me. So let's just go ahead and drag out a template one here. So text and capture, and we're just going to go call this capture information. Capture information. And now what's great is even if I want to maybe change the color to blue, I can now turn this into a reusable aspect in our project. So the first thing I'm going to do is if I just highlight it, and you can do this with multiple blocks too. It doesn't just have to be with one. You can highlight it, and you can hit add to library, and we'll call this capture information. And so what's really cool is if I go to my library step here, you see I've got some other ones already saved, but capture information is there. So I can just go ahead and drag this out, and it's basically like a clipboard in my project. So this is going to start saving me time as I start building out my project more. So we'll go ahead and do this, and we're going to say, what is your name? Is your name? And we're going to capture the name here, and we're going to do the same thing where we actually don't want the full name, or we don't want the full string. We just want a user's name. And this is pre-trained with a bunch of different names, but just in case, you can also add in some down here. So I'll just add in Daniel, just to make sure it knows, but it should know. And then we're going to do this one more time. So let's just go capture information here. Again, this saved me a bunch of clicks. And we're going to go to say, what is your company name? And because company name can be anything, we're just going to capture the entire string and save it to our reply here. And we'll just make sure we title these. So capture name, and we'll call this capture company. Awesome. So great example of reusability here. And then finally, we're going to go and let's do some buttons now. So capturing information with buttons is a bit different. So let's just use this capture thing again because I'm kind of lazy. We'll link it up here, and we'll say, how big is your company? Big is your company. But instead of capturing it with just a text, we want to actually go and add a button in here. So let's add a button. Oops. And we're going to give the user a couple options. So we're going to say 0 to 50. Button option 2 is going to be 50 to 250. And then option 3 is going to be 250 plus. So when a user clicks a button, by default, nothing happens, but we can trigger something to happen. So with that, we're going to use an action. And instead, this time, we're going to use set variable. This is going to allow us to set a value to a variable if a user clicks a button. We're going to create a variable called company size. And in this variable now, we're going to say if a user clicks 0 to 50, we're going to call this SMB. For the other button, so 250, we are going to go ahead and say set variable. We're going to do company size. And we're going to say maybe mid-market. And then finally, we're going to do 250, same thing here. We are going to go enterprise. Perfect. So now if a user clicks one of these, and I'll just show you. So if you hit play from here, a really good way to see what's going on with variables, and I'll just train the assistant here in the background, is if you pull out, you'll see on the side here's a little nub. If you pull this out, you can actually see all the variables in your project. So if I do like 0 to 50, you can see the company size gets set with SMB. So we can now use this later and actually send this to other places. So that's super helpful. So now let's actually go ahead and just quickly run through this and see what this looks like. So let's do run test. We're going to go, let's say, I want a demo. And as you're running through your project, you'll see I've got a bunch of messages popping up here. The really helpful thing to do to help debug is if you click settings, you can turn on debug mode and intent confidence. And this is going to show you what's going on behind the scenes. And then you can also pull out this variables tab so you can see everything that's going on behind the scenes. So you can see I typed, I want a demo. It matched to get a demo intent 100%. It jumped here. And now it says, we can set up a demo. What's your email? I'm going to say my email is daniel@voiceflow.com. And you can see that on the email variable, it was actually able to pull out Daniel at Voiceflow. And you can see here that it was able to successfully capture the email. So I'm going to say my name is Daniel. Again, successfully captured the name, saved it to Daniel. And company size, company name, I'll say Voiceflow. And then finally, company size is going to be 50 to 250. So we're going to be here. Perfect. So company size from 0 to mid-market. You see I've got mid-market here. And now I can start building out the rest of my flow. You'll notice here that when I typed in Voiceflow, it did think that it was get help. But this is a good point to talk. This is a good part to talk about the hierarchy in Voiceflow. So whenever Voiceflow is at a step like the button step or the capture step, Voiceflow is actually always listening. And so if I were to say, like get help or pricing, it could actually jump me there. But Voiceflow has a hierarchy of how it listens. So the first one is, let's say I'm at the button step here. The first thing Voiceflow is going to do is it's going to listen for an input that relates to these buttons. So obviously if I click a button, it's going to go, but with the buttons, you can also add on intents. So within a button, you can attach an intent here, and someone might say small, so you could write like mid-market or something here, in the same way we did the other intents. And so again, the first thing is that Voiceflow is listening locally. So it's going to listen first to say, are you saying something or inputting something that's relevant for the step I've got? The second one is it's going to look globally. So if I typed in pricing here, for example, I will actually jump to the pricing intent. So you'll see that I actually jump to the pricing intent. That's because we want users to be able to switch up what they're doing in their conversation as they're talking. So again, first level is local, second level is global. And then if it can't find anything locally and it can't find anything globally, it's going to go to the third, which is the no match. And so here on a button step, if I click on the settings, I can add a no match. So if a user types something like, I want pizza, it's not local, it's not global. And so it's going to default to saying, what is the no match option that you've got on your project locally? So I can add like a no match to be like, please pick an option. Or I can go ahead and maybe even make a path to say if a user hits a no match, we're going to take them down a different path. And the no matches are escalating as well. So let's give you an example of this. I'm going to say, let's connect you to an agent, maybe you to an agent. So let's say a user's here and they typed in like, I want a pizza. So the first thing it would do, it would trigger the no match. So it wouldn't match here. There's no intents that have get a pizza. So it would trigger the no match. In the no match, it would say, please pick an option. Then if they say, I want a pizza again, it's going to trigger the path of let's connect you to an agent. So that's the kind of local no match. And then if it doesn't match that, then it's going to go to a global no match. And your global no match is in your settings right over here. And that is just, sorry, I didn't get it. Please try again. So that's the hierarchy of how it works with Voiceflow. So it's local, global, and then local no match and global no match. So very relevant. And you can see there on the test that I had done before, that even though it matched the get help intent, it didn't actually go there because it was the capture step. So next up, you're going to want to kind of go, let's finish this flow. So how big is your company? SMB. And then we've got the bigger ones here. So let's say, for example, if it's SMB, maybe I don't want to do a demo. Maybe we actually just want to send them to a link. So we're going to say, we have community demos available, demos available for all smaller customers. And then let's add a little card to say maybe a watch demo. So maybe I'll add actually, you know what, we can add some buttons here. Or actually, let's do a card. So let's do card. And we'll make the card maybe like community demo. And then we'll make the description like on this demo. You can see all the features, and let's add a button here to say watch demo. And then we'll say if a user clicks the button, we're going to open a URL, and the URL is going to be like something about maybe it's like YouTube. So I'll just copy this URL here, and it's YouTube. So now if a user actually clicks this, it's going to just open YouTube. And then after that, we want to go ahead and maybe just send them back home. So we're going to go to block, and we're going to say go home, go to the welcome block. Boom, done. So you can see here on this flow, if I go 0 to 50, it's going to say we have community demos of small customers. Here it is, watch demo. If I click that, it's going to open YouTube and then take me back to the home. On the other side here, we might want to do something like give them an actual URL, right? Like we want to actually book a demo with them. And so let's do the same thing here, where we're going to we'll just go right to a card this time. So we'll talk card, and we're going to say book a demo, and we're going to say pick a time with one of our support reps. Perfect. And so before that, if we actually wanted to maybe make an API call, for example, this is a great opportunity for us to do something like using one of the templates. So let's say someone says they're mid-market or they're enterprise, and we want to maybe save that information before they go and book a demo. We can go ahead back to the templates. So on the templates page, we've got a bunch of them. So send ticket to Zendesk, AI lead generation with Zapier, AI feedback. So let's go to the Zapier one, and you can see here that they've got a bunch of stuff all built out. So you can actually go ahead and just like capture this whole thing. So let's actually go ahead and do that. I actually want just the API call here. And so we're just going to go and just capture these. So I'm just going to copy these. I'm going to take it back to my project, and let's add them in. So it was in get a demo, and I want to add it over here. So if someone clicks these, we're actually going to go ahead and trigger a Zapier webhook that maybe sends them an email automatically or books a time or whatever it might be. So we'll say if they are mid-market or if they're enterprise, we're going to go over here. And what we can do actually too, and I think this is a great example to show components, is if we wanted to, let's say we want to reuse Zapier kind of all throughout our project, you can go ahead and just shift highlight. And this time, instead of creating a library, we're going to create a component. And so we're going to call this Zapier API call. And then what's great is now I can also just go ahead and just link these here. And what a component does, and I just have to go in here and make sure it's all linked up, is a component almost acts like a reusable subfolder in your project, where wherever I am in my project, if I want to maybe make an API call to Zapier now, all I have to do is just go ahead and drag this out. And it acts like a step on my canvas. So when it goes in, and I'll just show you what this looks like, it says, what's your name? And then it actually goes into the folder, and when it comes out, it continues on. So if I said, we'll play from here, you'll see that it actually jumps into the folder, it goes through it, I didn't set up anything within the API call, so it fails. And then it goes to the next part here. So that's how you use components. It's really useful if you have an API call or something else that you need to put everywhere in your project to be able to do this with. So for example, I've got a Zapier API call here going now. Obviously you would need to go inside and actually set it up. And so I'd recommend checking out the tutorial. They go pretty in depth into how to use Zapier with Voiceflow and what you're going to do with all of these different forms and fields and different variables that you can put in. So definitely go and check out that video, but you can kind of use these templates and add them to your projects as long as you maybe make sure all the variables actually exist in your project. So that's kind of generally how to use components and templates within your project. So you can continue to build this out with different examples, and we'll make more tutorials and live builds as we go. But we covered a couple things in this one. The first one is actually using topics, which is going to be really critical to making sure your project is clean. The second one is being able to reuse things via the library step, which is going to make it easy to build fast. And the third one is using components, which we'll use a lot more in the future. But I hope this made a bit of sense into how you can start building and organizing your project in Voiceflow into these different kind of components, subfolders, topics, and library steps. Again, if you have any other questions, feel free to hop into our Discord or check out and ask just our support assistant here. Really useful for things like what is an intent, which it's able to answer via our own project in Voiceflow. And so, yeah, happy building. Let us know.